all through the whole area. I just called 911 and they said they've gotten like over 50 calls about it.
Yo, 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 what up? It's Donut, and you tuning in to all yo Illuminati news. Please smash that like button, put a 1 in the comment if you can hear me okay. It is time for yo Illuminati news. We're going to be going over some of Illuminati gateway portals, the Tor portal, something just activated. I mean, a lot of strange stuff going on. And let's just get right into it, that the northern lights may be visible in 22 U.S. states tonight because of the CME arrival. Expected to happen later today. The 6-7. We've been hearing about 6-7 rituals and meme magic going all over the place with South Park and the 6-7. But these northern lights are going to illuminati the sky across 22 states tonight. And the ancient days, this plasma was bad luck. Borealis is plasma. Plus, it is said that it smells like sulfur, just like ghosts do. Ordinary lightning, electrical arcs, neon gas and neon signs, fluorescent light bulbs are also plasma. Some ancient text refers to angels as lights. Yes, we're going to get into The Demon and the Echo, that book right here by Dr. Joseph P. Farrell. Out in Sioux Falls, it turned into all green right when CERN was activated. So a lot of strange stuff is happening with Stranger Things being released, the portals all over that show, the secret societies of the Hellfire Club in that show. I mean, we're going to get into a lot of crazy information into the portal activity. And here's the 6-7 November. So we'll see what happens. I wonder if CERN is activated today. But also other strange stuff. Incredible mystery sky boom rattles home in Australia. So these mystery booms are returning. This happened 3 days ago. And there's a report saying that it was a afternoon meteor. Now, watch this video. This looks so fake of the meteor. This girl does the slide and then the meteor comes down and disappears. And they're saying this is what's causing this mystery boom, is this meteor. But I mean, it just looks so AI and fake. I mean, what's real and what's not real? Mysterious sounds echoing through Nevada's Lake Mead, sparking fears, sinister forces. So this is also happening near Lake Mead, where this water is. Now, studying the tunnel technologies, the Boring Company, where they're digging underground bases, not just underneath mountains, but also underneath the water. So CERN is right there located near Geneva. So the water plays a big role in these certain lands and civilizations and societies being built underwater, even goes sort of into the Terramar project. I think I even got that book right here. This is Ghislaine Maxwell's boyfriend. The National Interest, the Law and Sea. I bought this book, just the CFR right there, Knights Templar of the Ocean. I got to revisit that, but it's crazy. It's crazy stuff. But let me go to that clip of this sound coming from Lake Mead.
911 and they said they've gotten like over 50 calls about it.
That's pretty intense. That's pretty intense booms happening. It's booming. Las Vegas is a booming. I grew up in Las Vegas and I never went to Lake Mead. Every year it dries up even more and more dead bodies are found. So in a couple days, in about a week from now, The Economist magazine, The World Ahead, on November 12th, will be releasing its new issues of the predictive programming. We can see the 2011 issue showed what was going to happen in the Middle East on the exact day. And this is just predictive programming of the world ahead in 2026. And we'll be doing a extensive deep dive on the symbolism of that when it comes out. But if you look at this world ahead in 2019, it predicted the lockdowns and the exact causes of it. And then even this one right here, you got a cipher code, which has BTC right there in 2020. And that was the big story. And right here, the 2021, 2022, I read this 2022, and it just talked about the importance of the aliens on Europa, the octopus aliens. And I thought that was weird. And it talked about the importance of National UFO Day, which is on 7/2, on July 2nd, the founding of America. It's when the aliens invaded in the film Independence Day. And also there's another date, June 24th, which is connected to John the Baptist Day as well for National UFO Day. But it told us the importance in this issue, how important the alien story was going to be. So in 2023, I went on to the Sam Tripoli podcast and I said this will be the year of the alien because it's the year of the bunny. The bunny rabbit symbolically throughout Hollywood showcases the alien agenda. There's also a bunny on the moon, and then you got Blink 182, who has a swastika bunny logo and is great friends with Harold Putoff with the To the Stars Academy, pushing the alien narrative. So very strange stuff. So that's going to be dropping. Look out for that November 12th. November 12th, the 316, Stone Cold Steve Austin Day. 49 days remaining until the end of the year. Some Shemitah stuff going on. But we're going to go over the VRlLLUMlNATI gateways, something just activated. Kind of want to go over the information that I've been reading in these books, especially this book, Closer Encounters. Go click the Patreon link down below, get a 7-day free trial where we're reading the book and going over that information. Plus you can get other documentaries like we did with the demon and the Ecker. The Ecker means pyramid. So they trapped a plasma being into a pyramid or an Ecker. And we'll go to those clips as well. But let's get right into these portal physics. Right here is an image of a mirror, like a portal in the forest. It's AI. I put this together. I thought it looked really cool. But these cryptids and Bigfoots and octopuses and whatnot are going through these hyperdimensional portals that open up and close. And the Bermuda Triangle or the trapezoid is the best way to kind of explain a hyperdimensional portal that opens up and closes. It's what all these movies are about. CERN and Stranger Things, they're opening up portals to the underworld, right? The upside down world, and that's about to be released. So Bermuda Triangle on land would be something like the Skinwalker Ranch. And here's an image of the tunneling technology. Now Elon has the tunneling technology with the Boring Company digging all underneath Las Vegas. So maybe those booms are connected to that, the new systems that they're building underneath the ground. This is an older one, I think from like the 70s. And look at it. It's the same thing as CERN. It's that Ishtar star symbolism. And here's CERN, where you can see it's underneath the water, underneath the lake, underneath the land. Right here, where they're opening up portals to other dimensions and creating black holes. That's what they tell us. We've broken down the underground bases and tunnels. What is the government trying to hide from us with this book by Richard Sauder? But he also wrote about bases underneath the ocean as well, and civilizations under the ocean. And we could even go back to 1975 where they were building this technology. So from the 70s, they were building these underground cities underneath the ocean, in the mountains and whatnot. Here's one of the pictures from the rock site right here, which I believe was in the 70s as well. So the Bermuda Triangle, where these ships end up missing, these planes end up missing, or sometimes a plane will go through it and then end up on the other side to where they're supposed to land quicker than expected. So all these people going out in the forest and end up missing, could they be going into some sort of hyperdimensional portal? And beings can go through these portals. So if there's octopus aliens on Europa, like The Economist magazine is saying there is, they could be traveling through this portal, and that's how they come into the ocean. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? So here's the Bermuda Triangle, which is actually a trapezoid symbol, which would be in the ocean. But the Skinwalker Ranch, which is purchased by this billionaire, Robert Bigelow. Robert Bigelow, a big billionaire. All these billionaires are interested in Europa, right? Elon Musk tweets about Europa. He has a VRlLLUMlNATI staff, and he kicks Kanye off with 322 million subscribers for tweeting about the Raelian cult. But the Skinwalker Ranch is where these hyperdimensional portals are opening up, where you can get some sort of Bigfoot creature. They even have a voice recording of a Bigfoot, and they did these audio tests on it, saying that it was like it was in some sort of portal or something. And here's the book I'm reading, Closer Encounters, where it's talking about this. Bermuda Triangle is a portal vortex or tear in space-time. Edgar Cayce spoke about Atlantis. So did Plato. And even the VRlLLUMlNATI, the Thule, can mean like the Atlantis Society. And Edgar Cayce said Atlantis was where Bermuda Triangle is. Now, the National Socialists, they went to their new Swabenland and they thought it was in Antarctica. So if we think that this is all crazy woo-woo stuff or whatever, the aristocratic elite believe in this. Elon Musk and California believe that this subterranean root race is going to come out of the ground this year. So if you don't believe in it, that's fine. You got to understand the aristocratic elite actually have secret societies that do believe in this stuff. And I find it very, very fascinating. I even spoke about this early on in my Donuts career on Vimeo and was removed for life. Can't get back on Vimeo. Can't get back on TikTok either. And for the reasons why, I'm not even going to say, but it's absolutely crazy and hypocritical. But this Atlantis does play a big role in this lost civilization that even in the Plato dialogues and Timaeus and Critias, it was spoken about. Atlantis, the ATL, right? You hear about the ATLians. And I even think that word ATL is interesting because it's like ADL, ATL, the Adler. There's a lot to it. And then you got all the big shows like Atlanta. Atlanta's like the hot spot. It's even where time-traveling President Trump built his casino. And in the Snake Eyes movie, that's where it was taking place as well. But in this book, this is interesting right here. This is where we're going to get into the hyperdimensional portals in this book about Project Kronos. So it's all about time traveling Nordic aliens, and time travel plays a huge role. Even CERN is linking up with Rolex. So I'm sure there's going to be some weird Rolex type rituals going on, that Rolex is teaming up with CERN for quantum computers, which quantum just means we don't know what the heck we're talking about. But we've heard about the UFOs of the National Socialist. A lot of the storylines are coming from these books that were written by this elite secret society that was into the occult, and that's what created the third realm. And we all know it's called the Die Glock, right? But it was originally called Project Kronos. Kronos is Saturn, Father Time. We're coming up on Christmas, which is about Saturnalia. It is all about time, Kronos. And Project Kronos was this Bell UFO. And in this book, it's saying World War II, or was it a hyperdimensional war for mastery over the space-time matrix? Very interesting, the time continuum. And before it was called Kronos, the Bell Endeavor was called Project Tor, or the Portal Project. Tor means gateway, doorway in German. So the Tor is the portal. And in the show by Philip K. Dick, The Man in High Castle, they even have a portal in the show, right? A time-traveling portal, National Socialist, story here. And where this portal is located is exactly where the Kirksburg incident happened with that UFO that looks just like the Die Glock. So, I like to get silly with it on this channel and look at pop culture. And Dude, Where's My Car had these two Nordic type aliens in it. And I believe this was about the Mandela effect. They're looking for this continuum. And the two stoners can't find their car. But that's because I think what's going on is the Mandela effect, the deja vu, where the past gets changed, these altered memories, which is what the Akasha files are all about, the Akashic records. And Conrad Zuse, who was connected to the National Socialist, he worked for the Ford Motor Company. And the Ford Motor Company was who was funding the third realm with J.P. Morgan, with Alan Dulles of the CIA and Wall Street. And in that show, the car that goes missing is a Ford. So I believe that even though it's a silly, funny show, that there is some heavily research in it. As Conrad Zuse, he talked about AI. He was one of the first to talk about AI. And he was the first scientist to ever consider the possibility that our cosmos is a quantum computational system. So very interesting stuff. The truth is stranger than fiction. And with these films like Indiana Jones, which I believe is based off of a real life guy named Waddle, Steven Spielberg is one thing, but he's not stupid. That's what Jordan Maxwell would say, because Indiana Jones, that was about these National Socialists going to Egypt. There's a reason why they went to Egypt. So there's a lot of truth in these films. And even in these silly films, like Back to the Future, they have this Volkswagen, which was the National Socialist car, and now it's the car of the people for the World Economic Forum. Or you got Arnold, who's from the future and who says, screw your freedom, and who's a climate activist for the UN. And then the time machine in the movie Idiocracy, where they unnational socialize the world and they have a time machine. And the guy who created this is a rocket scientist. So there's all these connections here. But Philip K. Dick, the guy who made The Man in High Castle with this portal in here, he claimed that his novels were based on memories of alternate timelines. Deja vu clues us into this. The alternate timeline memory phenomenon Dick was referring to is now dubbed the Mandela effect, where people are having a paranormal awareness of the past as it had been before it was changed by one another instance of time travel. So this Mandela effect, it could be some time traveling stuff, or could it just be the AI or computers gaslighting us in our memories? Here's the movie The Matrix, which shows the deja vu, the famous cat scene, which also he hides his money and his private information in a book about the simulacrum. And the simulacrum is a hyper reality. It's a copy of a copy. So if you go to Disney World in Florida, that's a simulacra of Disneyland. But Disneyland is like a simulacra, the castle at least, of the castle in Bavaria. So it's a hyper reality. And that's what reality TV is. Everyone watches reality TV because it's a simulacra, it's a hyper reality for you to imitate. So MTV got rid of all its music videos and turned it into reality TV. And now that's what everyone watches, is these reality dating shows. There's a psychological reason for that, and a psychological reason that there's these billboards with all these famous models. What it is the billboard is watching us. The billboard is watching us, so we imitate the billboard into a idealistic image, an idealistic aesthetic for society, which goes along the lines of whatever that operation is at that time, of how to dress, how to look. Shout out to that kitty cat. So that scene with the portal is right where this incident happened with this Bell UFO, this Die Glock looking Bell UFO. The Bell Project is where the Kecksburg UFO incident in 1965. This is the same place as the space-time portal in the Man in the High Castle television series. Before being renamed Kronos, the Bell Endeavor was codenamed Project Tor, or the Portal Project, Tor Gateway, Doorway. And think about CERN. CERN has those massive rituals where they're like opening up portals to other dimensions. So there's something going on. There's something going on in this reality. Now, if these portals are opening up, and that's where Bigfoots and cryptids and shapeshifters are coming through and in and out of, and people end up missing and then reappearing, and ships end up missing or whatever, why couldn't there be some octopus type alien on Europa that went through one of these portals? And the case that makes this is this book called Identified Flying Objects by Michael P. Masters, how these aren't aliens, but they're Nordic ancestry, because for there to be life hypothetically on another planet, or in another solar system, the odds of it being anything like a human form is slim to none. But they could be like some sort of octopus or something. That's more like odds are that. So these hybrid sex experiments, that all these abductions that take place, that happen, these hybrid breeding programs, they're making and doing it through, scientific, laboratory experiments, creating humans in a eugenic type transhumanistic fashion, and being able to mate is because they're part of our human ancestry. So they're not aliens. Does that make sense? I'll read from the book so it makes more sense. Masters argues that from the standpoint of evolutionary biology, it is extremely unlikely that intelligent life elsewhere in the universe would take a form that in any way resembles ourselves. The most intelligent creature on our own Earth that also has the dexterity to develop technology, and that is not one of our ape cousins, is the octopus, with a morphologically and undoubtedly a psychology that is radically alien compared to that of humans. Just think of the octopus and its tentacles, how each tentacle is its own brain. And even in The Simpsons, they did that predictive programming, like they knew what was going on of the alien octopuses. And you just got the Cthulhu, right? The guy who came up, H.P. Lovecraft, looks just like Zuckerberg too. But you got this octopus alien all over the damn place. But what I'm interested in is in the Wi-Fi mantises. That's the whole reason I'm doing this, deep study, is so I can learn about the mantises, and I'm not even near that chapter yet. But the octopuses we see all over the place. And this is a video I did like in 2020 of the octopus aliens and whatnot. Yeah, here's a picture I made of the Wi-Fi mantis. So this thing can't breed with this thing, but this thing could breed with the human ancestry. Hopefully that made some sense. So now I want to talk about the UFO, how it works, and it's through frame dragging. So right here is like a black hole. And it's the event horizon that's around the black hole that spins, that whatever goes near it, there's no point of return. And I mean, this is sort of the symbolism that is used by Grok. The Grok symbolism of the event horizon, which is this ring right here. This is the Grok logo, right? They're using the singularity. And the event horizon. And the event horizon is this ring. As you can see, it looks just like a UFO ship. So here's the UFO ship, and the event horizon is how these saucers are spinning and changing time, like a state of gameplay in a video game. And it's called frame dragging. So a black hole happens when something goes into this and it just starts going down into a hole. And then around the edges, it starts spinning. And that's the event horizon of the place of no return. And so that's how these saucers are able to manipulate time, memories. And they're all coming out of the damn ocean. And it's like sort of part of the Akashic records with the Mandela effect and whatnot. How we forget when we're born, like right when we're born, we forget everything, right? And here is the UAP. So why it's called a UAP, which was coined by J. Allen Hynek, who was part of Operation Blue Book, I think, Project Blue Book, who later came out and said it was a cover-up. He coined the term UAP and also coined the term close encounter. And you got close encounter of the first kind, which is seeing a UFO, and then close encounter of the fourth kind is, the abductions. And Blink 182 is who released this frickin' report. So that's super strange. So it's very strange that the government's talking about this. It's just a huge Project Bluebeam happening on the world stage. And even Marco Rubio is saying that these UFOs are going over nuclear facilities. I actually took this picture of Marco Rubio at the Charlie Kirk Memorial. But the psychological operation is removing the abductions. And the abductions, Matt Ehret does a great article I always recommend called MK Ultra, the Clintons, the Rockefellers, what do they have in common? And MK Ultra. And this, I think his name's Berkowitz or something like that. The government frickin' abducted the guy and MK Ultra the guy and gave him computer technologies that he thought he was communicating with aliens, but it was the government. And he went nuts. And so I'm reading this book right now, and that's what we're going over. The term close encounter was coined by J. Allen Hynek, who wrote this book, UFO Experience. He was forced to run Project Blue Book, and he said it was a cover-up. Here's Project Blue Book. This is 1950. So, I mean, this alien craziness that's happening on the mainstream news is nothing new. This happened in the 1950s where there was this UFO scare. But it goes back even further. It goes back way long ago to these aristocratic occult societies building this pantheon narrative. Even J. Allen Hynek's family was helping out with the camouflage scene in the movie Predator, which I think is interesting because the octopus camouflages, just like the owl camouflages. It's like the invisibility cap of Minerva. And I think that's very symbolic, and important to this type of research symbolically. And here is the guy that's in the movie Predator, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger, who on August 10th on the Helical Rising, the day, Epstein was found hung August 10th, and also Robin Williams. This is an occult date for the Helical Rising of Sirius. He said, "Screw your freedom." And here's Closer Encounters by Steven Spielberg. And the symbol is what Jordan Maxwell said of the Aket, right? The sun rising over the mountain. But in this case, it's like a UFO, glowing orb light. But it's the symbol of the Aket that even Bill, Microsoft Bill, has on his books about the lockdowns, because there's a connection to that. And this sort of looks like the V as well. And here's the Denver airport, where I point out that I believe this is the symbol of that Aket, the sun rising over the mountain. And that airport is where they have all the conspiracy stuff with the Denver airport, where they have the reptilians working there. But it's the ancient symbol of the Aket for the dawn of the new day. And here's the alien show V, where it shows the pamphlet of the aliens. Welcome to the dawn of a new day, which is part of this, socialist, fascist, communist takeover symbolically, the symbolism of it. So the VRlLLUMlNATI, it goes back to this guy who wrote this book, the VRlLLUMlNATI. And you can see right there, it says Atlantis, because Atlantis is very important to this mythology. It's nuts. And what was I going to get at? Right here. So a lot of people know about Operation Paperclip, Project Paperclip. Here's the Disney guy with, Project Paperclip working for NASA. But a lot of people don't know that it wasn't just the National Socialists that came to America to hide out, but they went to South America and the Middle East, into the Islamic world as well, like into Egypt and whatnot. And the Titanic that sunk, it had this prominent figure, Astor, on it. And here's like George Bush's grandfather, Prescott Bush, helped Adolf's rise to power. I mean, the truth is stranger than fiction. And these grays are robots, pretty much. And here's a great film by Werner Herzog that kind of goes over some of these occult societies. It's called The Invisible, I believe, or Invisible. And this guy is doing channeling for the third realm. Here's Rockefeller's grave, who also funded the third realm, and it is the phallic symbol. And Tesla, October 4th, 1927, he patented this UFO. So he was working on these flying free energy ships. You know what I'm saying? And the guy that was funding him died in the Titanic. Astor. He dies in the Titanic that was owned by JP Morgan, who just happened to not go on it that night and then got all the technology for these certain aircraft ships. So the VRlLLUMlNATI, there's Marina Orsic, and I was connecting how even like Blink-182 works with Avril Lavigne, who's a clone, and this really goes into the cloning operations, but she's Avril. She has the long hair and the blue eyes, so it's very symbolic, or at least aesthetically the same as the story, as we can see those symbols all over the place. And JP Morgan symbol is that same swastika, just like in the show Severance right here. But this book is really fascinating. I'm not coming up with this information. I'm reading this book and learning. But the word chase is for hunting, because these aircrafts, like the Zeppelin and whatnot, they were sort of named for hunting machines, right? So chase, hunting, that it's all kind of interconnected. Even Blink-182, the bunny has, this was always crazy, it is the swastika as well of the bunny in there who's releasing the UFO report. So isn't that crazy? I always think that's crazy, because there's a huge bunny connection. You got Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl. So it's going to be an alien Super Bowl. There's going to be some alien stuff. And the plane that landed and then flipped upside down, this was all over the news. And the guy, front of cameras, wearing the Blink-182 Harold Putoff To the Stars shirt. Have you ever seen a person wear a shirt that says To the Stars? I've never seen in my entire life someone rocking that Scientology gear. I've never seen it. Maybe Grant Cardone wears it. I don't know. But this happened, and then Harold Putoff went on Joe Rogan like right after it, who's the handler of the Blink-182 guy. And this is all kind of connected to the whole alien agenda. And around this time of the Titanic and this time-traveling technology, we even have stories coming out of Trump barren time traveler stories, which is interesting because John Trump, MIT, Deep State, got a hold of all of Tesla's, papers. And then he really liked the papers. And he was working on these types of UFO technology. And this book was released, Communion, which had this gray-headed alien on it. And when people saw this in the store, they started to remember their memories of their abductions from seeing it. So like their memories get erased and then they see it and then they remember it. And then you even have the Obamas who made Leave the World Behind, which was, about the fifth generation warfare that we're going on, that we're living through right now. That's what it's all about. And their newest movie is going to be about Barney and Betty Hill, who was one of the first abductions. They weren't the first, but they were one of the first. And they were doing these hybrid sexual breeding programs with this guy, extracting his, No Nut November fluids, which is just something that happens over and over again. But what got me interested in this, I'm not even on the chapter yet, is the mantis aliens, because that's what I'm very fascinated about. So I can't wait to get to that chapter, which I believe I heard it was on chapter 7. And I'm only on like chapter 4 or 5 or something like that, which we're doing this huge, study of. Because this is going to be big. I mean, it's not going to stop the alien stuff. So we got to get wicked spot. And even the dolphins are connected. I did the dolphin research, I did a deep dive on the dolphins. How John C. Lilly, this was like pre-MK Ultra, kind of studies on mind control, how reading his books, he was saying the government was funding him to communicate with the dolphins because the dolphin brain is very similar to a human brain. Even if you watch the movie Mars Attacks, I broke down how the Mars Attacks brain is the Martian brain is a dolphin brain. But the dolphins weren't important. What was important was the whales. So he would communicate with these dolphins on drugs and doing, playing with them sexually in his own isolation tank and communicating with them through telekinesis. And they would take the messages and bring it down deep into the ocean where these UFO portals civilizations are coming in and out of. The UFO cases are all coming in and out of the ocean. And the dolphins will take his messages down to the whales, and the whales will take that message down to Atlantis to communicate with the Atlanteans. And here's Clinton with Lawrence Rockefeller, who took over a lot of the UFO studies. They always put Leonardo DiCaprio, who's also a climate activist, in all these movies. Just like Arnold's and all these movies. These are selected people by the United Nations, most likely, to portray these images. But he was in that Titanic movie, and this is John Jacob Astor, who was funding Tesla. And Tesla was friends with Swami Vivekananda. So he would have been familiar with the Sanskrit text describing this VRlLLUMnATI energy that Buller Linton was referring to in his book, The Coming Race, the Vril book, with reference to the ancient Hindu concept of Akasha, right? And John Jacob Astor was killed when the Titanic sank. He was by far, and I'm reading from the book, as you can see, obviously, he was by far the most prominent person who drowned in the icy waters of the Atlantic that night in 1912. I believe the frickin' ship sunk at 2:18, which was the same text code that Joe Biden sent. So that's something I'm looking out for, is that number 218. But anyway, leaving Tesla without funding and resources with a powerful enemy, JP Morgan and company, Morgan and his associates had already developed this technology, or rather they had funded a Prussian airship company to develop it on American territory from the 1860s to 90s. Then beginning around 1920, Morgan, together with Rockefeller and Allen Dulles, funded the National Socialist Party. And that National Socialist Party that was funded by JP Morgan, Rockefeller, Allen Dulles, MK Ultra, CIA, out of New York, was actually a front for an occult group of aristocrats called the Thule Society, translated to the Atlantis Society. Very interesting. And there's this huge connection to the British Empire as well. Here's the House of Lords. Y'all know about the House of Lords. They're really running the podcast industry right now on the truth movement. But there's a huge connection here that we go more into over on the Patreon. Just giving you a little bit of, what we've been learning over there. So Linton, who wrote this VRlLLUMlNATI book, I mean, his works were so powerful. We even know his words that he came up with. We all say the pen is mightier than the sword. You probably all heard that's from the guy who wrote the VRlLLUMlNATI book. Buller Linton was a British baron and a Whig. He had a relationship, long-standing, with an elite faction of the British Parliament and the National Socialist. He also served as a Secretary of State for the British colonies. Buller Linton's impact on the literary elite was so deep, he coined the phrases, "The pen is mightier than the sword," "It was dark and stormy night," "Dweller on the threshold," and "The pursuit of the almighty dollar." In 1862, he was offered but declined the crown of Greece. So when we're hearing Elon Musk talk about Europa, we hear about Europa all the time. There's a reason for it. That's where they're saying in this Economist magazine that I read in 2022 that these aliens are from Europa and they be going through these portals. But here's just some stuff that, just to remind everybody that we're living through a psychological operation. Remember when the lady saw the alien on the plane and then she did the Baphomet hand sign? You know what day that she saw this alien on the plane? She saw the freaking alien on National UFO Day on 7/2, on July 2nd. That's when she saw the alien on the plane on American Airlines, which goes into the kind of goes into an Aleister Crowley thing, but it's all sort of interconnected. We're hearing about, Reagan and Gorbachev speaking how they'll end the Cold War of an alien threat. And then here's them with Bush and, even in this area, which is now taken over by Mamdani and the socialists, you even have the Manhattan alien abduction that took place there. And the security guard for Reagan or Gorbachev, he was a security guard who even witnessed this go down, and is like all connected to the United Nations and all of that. I mean, it gets super strange, but it's even stranger in pop culture. And I've been showing people since 2022, before my massive prediction of the alien year of 2023, just like a month before, I was showing how Elon had his VRlLLUMlNATI staff right here. He had the Vril staff right there, and how this was symbolism. And then Kanye got kicked off of Twitter for posting his UFO worship cult. So the octopus is super symbolic, even in Spectra with 007. Ian Fleming wrote about Spectra, which was this, occult society that was really running stuff. And he knew about this occult society because he moved Martin Bormann. He was part of that whole, moving him. So he saw how these operations worked. There's Rockefeller with his 9/11 watch. So we got Stranger Things coming out. I'm looking forward to watching that. I do love that show. They talk about the Hellfire Club, that's a secret society. James Bond, Spectra. Here's JP Morgan. JP Morgan did not like to get photographed because of his rosacea. He was very insecure about his rosacea, so he got mad when people took pictures of him. Here's Tesla's flying machine, October 4th. So yeah, so that's what I've been looking at. This is the VRlLLUMlNATI gateway. Something just activated. What are your thoughts? Put your comments down below. Please go subscribe to the Patreon to get a free 7-day trial and check out all the good information that we've been studying over there. Right here, you can check out the newest video. And we got Wicked Smart for Dummies. It's cheaper than a bag of Skittles. We even got the Demon in the Ecker, the presentation. We got a bunch of stuff up there. Early access. Go click the link down below right now. Anyway, it's Donut. Much love and God bless you.